My wife said I wasn't alpha enough and filed for divorce, so I gave her exactly what she deserved. I met Emma at a corporate networking event in San Francisco. She was ambitious, charming, and had a sharp wit that kept conversations engaging. She was the kind of woman who could talk circles around most people, and I found that intoxicating at first. We hit it off quickly, and within a year, we were married. At the time, I believed we were a team. I was an engineer at a reputable firm, working on projects that actually excited me, while Emma was making waves in marketing. We had similar incomes, similar lifestyles, and, at least I thought, similar values. But somewhere along the way, things shifted. It wasn't overnight. It never is. It started subtly. Emma getting more engrossed in social media, surrounding herself with empowered women who spent more time discussing what they deserved rather than what they built in their relationships. She started following these so-called relationship coaches who preach about self-prioritization, feminine energy, and how a man needed to be an alpha for a woman to truly respect him. One night, after dinner, she hit me with it. "Leo, do you think our marriage is boring?" I raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" She exhaled heavily, setting her wine glass down. "I don't know. I just feel like we're stuck in a routine. Like, there's no passion, no dominance. You don't lead." I frowned. "Emma, we make decisions together. That's what marriage is about." She shook her head, as if frustrated that I didn't get it. "That's the problem. A real man should just know what to do. I shouldn't have to ask for leadership." I stared at her for a moment before speaking. "So you want me to make decisions without your input?" She hesitated. "Not exactly, but yes. I want to feel like my man is in control. Like I can trust that you'll handle things without me having to be involved in every decision." I took a sip of my drink, letting the words settle. "Emma, I handle everything that needs to be handled. I pay the bills on time. I plan our vacations. I make sure our investments grow. You don't worry about any of that. But now you wanted to start dictating things? Like what? Telling you what to wear? When to cook dinner?" She scoffed. "That's not what I mean." I leaned back, watching her. "Then what do you mean, Emma? Because from where I'm sitting, you're telling me that I'm not man enough for you." She looked away. That was all the confirmation I needed. Over the next few months, the tension simmered. Emma started subtly testing me, pushing boundaries to see if I'd step up. She started dressing more provocatively when going out with her friends, making little comments about how some men were so confident in how they carried themselves. It was clear what she was doing, poking, prodding, trying to incite some kind of reaction. I didn't give her one. Why? Because I knew exactly what this game was. And then, one evening, she laid her final card on the table. "Leo, I think we should get a divorce." It was over dinner, just like that. No big fight, no dramatic buildup, just a casual suggestion, as if she was asking me to switch internet providers. I took a slow bite of my steak, chewed and swallowed. Then I set my fork down and looked at her. Okay, that was it. No pleading, no questioning, just a single word. Emma blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Wait, that's it." I nodded. "That's it. You want out? You got it." Her mouth opened, then closed. She expected resistance, a negotiation, maybe even an argument. Instead, I gave her exactly what she wanted, without the theatrics, and that, more than anything, seemed to piss her off. "You're not even going to fight for me?" she snapped. I chuckled, shaking my head. Fight for what? A woman who already is 1 foot out the door? No thanks. Emma stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. And maybe she didn't, because for the first time in our marriage, she wasn't the one calling the shots. 2 days later, I received an email from a law firm. Emma had officially filed. Her demands? 50% of our assets, alimony, and the condo. I laughed, out loud. See, Emma had made a fatal miscalculation. She thought I was some clueless beta provider who would roll over and let her take everything. She assumed she'd play the victim wife and get rewarded for her efforts. She forgot one thing. I'm an engineer. I don't react emotionally. I strategized, and I had been preparing for this the moment she told me I wasn't alpha enough. The next morning, I made my own set of moves. 1. Financial lockdown. I opened a new bank account and moved my direct deposits there. Emma had no access to it. 2. Insurance adjustments. I removed her from my health and life insurance policies. 3. Credit split. I closed our joint credit cards. Anything left was hers to deal with. 4. Legal reinforcement. I hired the best divorce attorney I could find, Nick Walker, a man known for making greedy ex-wives leave court empty-handed. And just for fun, I pulled up Emma's Instagram. I scrolled through her posts, long captions about self-love and women knowing their worth. I smirked. This was going to be fun. 1 week later, we were sitting across from each other in a courtroom. Emma had lawyered up with some corporate-looking woman named Olivia Green, who wore thick glasses and had the expression of someone who permanently smelled something bad. When the judge entered, the proceedings began. Emma's lawyer started first, painting a picture of a neglected, unloved wife who had no choice but to leave her emotionally absent husband. She emphasized that Emma had invested her time into the marriage and, as such, was entitled to half of everything. I didn't react. Then it was Nick's turn. He stood, adjusted his cuffs, and casually slid a stack of papers onto the judge's desk. Your Honor, before we begin, I'd like to submit evidence that completely invalidates the opposing party's claims. Emma shifted in her seat. The judge flipped through the documents, his expression neutral. Go on. Nick turned Emma's lawyer with a smirk. Mrs. Carter alleges that she was financially dependent on my client. However, as you'll see, her salary matches his almost exactly. Moreover, in the 5 years they were married, she never contributed a single dollar to the joint savings account. Emma stiffened. Nick continued. Furthermore, she claims my client neglected her. I have restaurant receipts, vacation records, and text message evidence proving otherwise. Emma's face turned red. Nick leaned in slightly. Mrs. Carter, can you provide a single example of something you paid for in this marriage? She said nothing. He smirked. I didn't think so. And that was just the beginning. The tension in the courtroom was thick. Emma sat across from me, her posture stiff, her eyes darting between her lawyer and the judge. I, on the other hand, was relaxed because I had already won. This wasn't a battle of emotions. This was a battle of evidence. Nick Walker, my attorney, was just getting started. Your Honor, he continued, pacing slightly as he spoke, Mrs. Carter has painted a picture of a neglected wife who had no choice but to leave my client. However, as we just established, she was never financially dependent on him. In fact, she contributed nothing to their shared expenses despite earning an equal salary. Emma's lawyer, Olivia Green, adjusted her glasses and cleared her throat. Objection, Your Honor. Financial contribution does not equate to emotional labor. Nick smirked. Emotional labor? That's an interesting term, Ms. Green. Let's talk about labor in this marriage, shall we? He turned to me. Mr. Carter, in the past 5 years, who paid the rent? I did. Who paid for vacations? Me. Who handled home repairs, car maintenance, and insurance? That would also be me. Nick turned back to the judge. And yet, Mrs. Carter believes she deserves half of my client's assets she never contributed to. Your Honor, if that's the case, then I would argue that Mr. Carter deserves back pay for the 5 years he supported her. A few chuckles echoed in the courtroom. Emma clenched her jaw, shifting uncomfortably. She hadn't expected this. She thought I would come in meek, ready to negotiate, maybe even beg. She was wrong. Mrs. Carter, Nick continued, you've claimed that Mr. Carter was emotionally unavailable. Can you provide examples? Emma hesitated, glancing at Olivia, who nodded for her to answer. He never made me feel wanted. He was always focused on work or his hobbies. Your Honor, Nick said, pulling out another document. This is a record of text messages and date confirmations proving that my client regularly planned dinners, vacations, and movie nights for his wife. If she felt neglected, that's unfortunate, but feelings do not override facts. Olivia shifted in her seat. Your Honor, my client isn't saying she was physically neglected. She's saying she didn't feel fulfilled in the marriage. Nick nodded, pretending to ponder. Fulfilled. Right. Tell me, Mrs. Carter, did you ever express this dissatisfaction to my client before deciding to blindside him with divorce? Emma swallowed. I shouldn't have had to. Nick raised an eyebrow. So you expected him to read your mind? Objection, Olivia interjected, badgering the witness. The judge waved a hand. Sustained. Move along, Mr. Walker. Nick smirked, stepping back. Of course, Your Honor. Let's move on to Mrs. Carter's financial demands. She is requesting alimony, despite earning the same salary as my client. She is also requesting 50% of his assets, including his savings, investments, and, amusingly enough, he held up another paper, his PlayStation 5. The judge blinked. His PlayStation? Nick nodded. Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Carter has demanded that the PlayStation, which my client purchased with his own money, be awarded to her as part of the marital assets. Even the judge looked unimpressed. He turned to Olivia. Ms. Green, does your client truly believe she is entitled to a gaming console? Olivia cleared her throat. Your Honor, it's about principle. The PlayStation was in the shared home, which means... Nick cut in. Actually, Your Honor, I'd like to submit a credit card statement proving that Mrs. Carter never contributed to any household purchases. That PlayStation, bought entirely by my client. The home furniture, paid for by my client. The vacation she took, my client. So if we're talking about principles, let's talk about the principle of not claiming things you didn't pay for. The judge exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. Ms. Green, your client is not entitled to her husband's personal property. Let's move forward. Emma shot daggers at Nick, but he wasn't done yet. Your Honor, Nick continued, there's one last matter I'd like to address. He turned to Emma. Mrs. Carter, in your divorce filing, you stated that the primary reason for ending the marriage was that Mr. Carter was not dominant enough for you. Is that correct? Emma hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I need a man who takes control, who fights for me. Leo never fought for me. Nick tilted his head. So let me ask you, if my client had fought against this divorce, would you have stayed? Emma shifted, clearly uncomfortable. I don't know. Maybe. Nick repeated the word slowly, letting it sink in. So, let me get this straight. You want a man who is dominant, but when my client took control of the situation, by refusing to grovel, by protecting his assets, by standing up for himself, you're now upset that he's being dominant. Emma's mouth opened, but no words came out. Nick leaned forward slightly, his voice low and even. Tell me, Mrs. Carter, do you want an alpha male, or did you just want control the whole time? Silence. The judge cleared his throat. I think we've heard enough. After a short recess, the judge returned to deliver his decision. Given the evidence provided, the court sees no grounds for alimony or asset division beyond the agreed-upon prenuptial terms. Mrs. Carter will leave this marriage with exactly what she entered it with. Nothing more, nothing less. The divorce is granted. Case dismissed. Emma sat frozen, staring straight ahead, as if she couldn't believe what had just happened. Meanwhile, I stood up, straightened my tie, and turned to Nick, who clapped a hand on my shoulder. Pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Carter. I smiled. Likewise. Without another glance at Emma, I walked out of that courtroom a free man. A week later, my phone rang. Emma, I let it go to voicemail. Then came the text. Leo, can we talk? I just want closure. So that's it? We're just strangers now? I stared at the screen, then chuckled to myself. I sent her a single reply. Then I blocked her number. There was nothing left to say. I grabbed a beer, sat back on my couch, and booted up my PlayStation. Finally, I had my peace. The morning after the court's decision, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. No more tiptoeing around Emma's moods. No more backhanded comments about how I wasn't dominant enough. No more marriage that felt more like a never-ending performance review. I got up, brewed a cup of coffee, and stared out the window of my new apartment. No shared furniture, no pictures of us on the walls, no reminders of the woman who once thought she had me wrapped around her finger. And the best part? My bank account was still mine, untouched. I wasn't naive. I knew there would be fallout. Mutual friends, family members, and even colleagues would chime in with their opinions. I was prepared for that. The first call came from Emma's best friend, Lindsay. "Leo," she started, her tone already laced with judgment. "Emma's really struggling with this. She's devastated. She thought you two could work through it." I let out a short laugh. "She filed for divorce. Lindsay. She wanted out, remember?" There was a pause. "Yeah, but she didn't think you'd just let her go like that. She thought you'd fight for her." I took a sip of coffee. "Well, I fought for myself instead. I guess that's a problem, huh?" She huffed. "You're being heartless." "Nah," I said, setting my mug down. Heartless would have been dragging this out just to make her suffer. I gave her exactly what she asked for. It's not my fault she didn't expect me to mean it. Click. End the conversation. That wasn't the last of it. Over the next few days, I got texts from mutual acquaintances. "Dude, you really let Emma walk away just like that? Man, you could have at least tried to fix things." Emma's been posting a lot of cryptic stuff about losing the love of her life. What happened? I ignored all of it. Because here's the thing. If someone truly values you, they don't play games. They don't test you to see if you'll fight for them. They don't expect you to beg while they sit back and decide if you're worthy. Emma thought she could control the breakup, just like she tried to control the marriage. But an alpha doesn't play by someone else's rules. Instead of engaging in the post-divorce drama, I focused on myself. I picked up extra projects at work, finally started that fitness program I'd been putting off, and reconnected with old friends. One evening, I was at the gym when my buddy Chris smirked at me between sets. "Man, I haven't seen you this dialed in for years. No offense, but Emma kind of sucked the energy out of you." I shrugged. "No offense taken. You're right. So what's next? Dating again?" I laughed. "Hell no. I'm taking my time. The last thing I need is another woman trying to fix me." He chuckled. "Smart man. But I gotta warn you, dude, Emma's been talking. Word around is that she's trying to paint you as cold and unfeeling." I smirked. "Good. That means she's still thinking about me." About a month later, I was finishing up a late-night work session when my phone buzzed. "Emma." I didn't pick up. Then came the text. "Hey, can we talk?" I stared at the screen, debating whether I should even acknowledge it. A minute later, another message. "I just need closure." The classic closure excuse. Here's the truth. When people ask for closure, they're not looking for peace. They're looking for another chance to manipulate you into giving them what they want. I typed out a simple response. "Closure happened in court. Take care." Then I blocked her number. The past was exactly where it belonged. Behind me. Emma thought she could break me. She thought she could walk away on her terms and that I'd be waiting, desperate to prove myself. Instead, I did what she never expected. I let her go. No begging. No chasing. No second-guessing. Because that's what true dominance is. It's knowing your worth and refusing to waste time on someone who didn't see it. So, to all the men out there stuck in marriages with women who expect you to fight for them while they treat you like an option, walk away. And don't look back. Because the moment you start fighting for yourself instead of for her, that's when you win. Weeks passed, and the dust had settled, at least for me. My life had never been smoother. Work was thriving, my fitness was at its peak, and the peace of mind that came from cutting Emma out of my life was priceless. But Emma? Not so much. It started with mutual friends reaching out. First, it was casual comments. "Hey, man, Emma's been asking about you." Then it turned into something else. "She's been drinking a lot lately. She keeps bringing you up." "Dude, she told everyone you just abandoned her." Classic. She wasn't handling the fact that I walked away clean. No guilt, no anger, just an unbothered exit. Women like Emma, they thrive on drama. And when you don't give it to them, they create their own. One evening, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Leo, a familiar voice said, soft, hesitant. Emma, I sighed. What do you want? I just wanted to say I'm sorry. The apology phase. Right on schedule. I've been doing a lot of thinking, she continued. I made mistakes. I don't know what I was expecting. I thought you'd fight for me, but I see now that I was wrong. I leaned back, listening, not because I cared, but because I was curious to hear the script play out. I miss you, she admitted finally. I miss us. There it was. You don't miss me. I corrected. You miss the control you thought you had. Silence. Then the tears started. Leo, please, can we just talk? In person? I smirked, shaking my head. Emma, I already told you. Closure happened in court. But... Click. I hung up. Within days, Emma's social media turned into a pity parade. Some people just throw away years of love like it was nothing. Being strong means accepting that some people never really loved you. I gave him everything, and in the end, I was just an afterthought. I couldn't help but laugh. This was her last attempt to win back control, playing the victim. And I let her, because at the end of the day, words don't change reality. Reality was, I walked away unscathed. I left her with nothing, and that burned her more than anything else ever could. A month later, I ran into her by accident. Grocery store. I was grabbing a case of beer when I heard her voice behind me. Leo. I turned. She looked different, tired, a little desperate. Like someone who finally realized they bet on the wrong hand. She smiled weakly. Hey! I nodded. Hey! An awkward pause. Then she took a deep breath. Are you happy? I chuckled, cracking open a case of beer and tossing it into my cart. Happier than I've ever been. Her face fell, but she nodded. I guess that's good. I looked at her for a long moment. I could tell she was waiting, hoping. Maybe for a moment of weakness, a sign that there was still a crack in my armor. There wasn't. Take care, Emma. I walked away. Never looked back, because real men don't. She wanted to see if I'd fight for her. Instead, I fought for myself. And I won. Men, remember this. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone who doesn't see it from the start. The moment she doubts you, the moment she plays games to test your strength, she's already lost you. And the best response you can give? Walk away. Let her regret it, because she will. The thing about moving on? It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about proving to yourself that you were always better off without them. Months had passed since the divorce, and life had never been clearer. My career was soaring, my investments were stacking up, and most importantly, I was at peace. Emma, on the other hand, she was still drowning in the aftermath of her own choices. I was out one evening at a rooftop bar with some friends when I saw her. Emma, sitting at the bar, sipping a cocktail, alone. She spotted me, her eyes widening slightly. Then she forced a smile. I had no intention of engaging, but she took the first step. Leo, she said, walking up, it's been a while. I nodded, keeping my posture relaxed. It has. She hesitated, searching for something, anything to say. You look good. I know. Her smile faltered. I wanted to say I was wrong. I waited. Let her talk. I thought I wanted something different. I thought I needed someone who would fight for me, but I see now that I was looking for something that didn't exist. I smirked. So what now? You realize the alpha guys you wanted weren't exactly lining up to marry you. She swallowed hard. I miss what we had. I let out a short laugh, shaking my head. You don't miss me, Emma. You miss the stability, the security, the fact that you had someone who actually gave a damn. Her eyes watered, but I felt nothing. Maybe we could. No. She blinked, surprised at how quickly and decisively I shut it down. Emma, there's nothing left to talk about. You made your choice, and I made mine. I gestured around. This is my life now, and there's no room in it for you. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she nodded, finally understanding what she never thought would happen. I had truly moved on. She turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. And just like that, she became another memory. Revenge isn't about making someone suffer. It's not about proving a point. The ultimate revenge? Living so damn well that they can't ignore it. Emma expected me to break. She thought I'd crawl back, beg, show her that I couldn't live without her. Instead, I thrived, and that, more than anything, was what she could never handle. So, to the men out there dealing with someone like Emma, remember this. The strongest move you can make is the one where you don't play her game at all. Let her go. Let her regret it. And most importantly, keep winning.